Welcome to another episode of Founders in Fortitude. I am so grateful to be sitting here with my dear friend Lisa. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. I know so much about you. I feel like I stalk you because I love your grace,
Sweetest.
your business presence, your presence when you are with people, you're kind. And then if anyone follows you on social media, you have a friendship group of very strong people that you surround yourself with. And
I'm lucky that way.
you are.
Yeah.
And I admire you so much. So
You're the sweetest, whatever.
well, I'm not lying.
Watch you.
There's a lot of things, but I am not a liar. So tell me a little bit about your background. I know it very well, but some people that may not. You started out within the industry. You were on TV, on television.
Yeah, I was in a completely different industry than I'm in now. I was in broadcasting and I was a news anchor. And actually my first job in broadcasting, I was like 20 years old and I did the weather. I love that. Isn't that hilarious? I had no idea what I was doing. I had absolutely no business doing that. But they were like, do you want to, it was like my chance to get on air. So that was the first time. And then, and then built a career out of it. And for 25 years, that's what I did.
I mean, that's so neat. And so you started out and worked your way up within the same area?
Or like my way up? No. And the thing, the industry is so different now than it used to be. Now it's a little bit more like, oh, does she have a following on social media? Okay, hire that girl. And before it used to be, you really had to pay your dues. You had to work. I worked in Casper, Wyoming, which out of like 300 markets, it was like market 298. Where we would have to like fake live shots to put them on a reel to send to an agent to try to get another job. We would just fake them. But it was fun, right? Because we were all so young and we were all trying to like take the next step in our careers. And so like I love those memories so much, working with all those people. But yeah, then moved from there to Salt Lake City, which was a big jump from where I was at.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed in Salt Lake City for like 12 years. And Brian and I really raised the boys there. And, we came rolling into Salt Lake City with at the time, I guess it was 3 kids in our Suburban. And I had like short anchor hair.
Yes.
With like little pearl earrings. And everyone thought we were Mormon. And because, we played the part well. Everyone thought that. But no, it was such a great place to raise kids. And
I haven't been to Salt Lake City until this past couple of years for work. And I was like, why do I live in Texas?
oh, it's so pretty there.
It's because I've been to Colorado and I loved Colorado, but the elevation would kind of get me a little bit. Where Salt Lake, listen to my southern accent, where Salt Lake City wasn't, I don't think is as high. Like, I mean, I know you can go to certain locations that are higher, but
I mean,
it didn't get me as bad, or maybe it was just so pretty and I was just making it.
Just so pretty, and the mountains are like right there. So if you go to like Denver, the mountains are a little further away from the city, but in Salt Lake City, like you are driving on the freeway and they're right there. It's so pretty. I miss it because of that, but it also, like so many places, it's not what it used to be. There are a ton of people have moved in there. Mostly from California. Like we've had that influx here in Texas too.
Mm-hmm.
I think people in California, and I'm from California, and that'll always be home to me. But I think people have realized, like,
My husband from his family's from California, and I didn't realize how country California was.
yeah,
Like the countryside.
yeah,
I think that, growing up in Texas, I just was like, that's big city. And then he took me out several times. Because if I would fly in, it would be in the bigger cities.
yeah.
And then he took me out where they were.
No, but there are rural parts of California that are absolutely beautiful. I mean, farmland and vegetation and ranches and no, it's really pretty. The city is a whole different thing. But
You said 3 kids.
yeah, and then we had another when we lived in Salt Lake. So 4 boys.
Okay.
All
Boy,
together. Boy, mom, all the way.
Balancing career.
Yes.
How was that? What advice would you give someone that is, because you were very strong and driven, balancing 4 boys, work?
I mean, I think I have to be fair and say, at the time I was married to their dad and he was wonderful. And, he worked full time as well. And so I thought we did a really great job of balancing that between the two of us and the kids, we didn't have family around for a really long time, for most of the time that we were raising the boys. And then my parents ended up moving to Salt Lake to be close to us. So there was a little bit of help there. But no, I had a great partner in raising the boys. And even after we divorced, we were very committed to, co-parenting. And so, yeah, I think I look back and I wonder how I did all that, you know?
Yeah.
I think you just go into a different mode when you're a mom and especially a working mom. And whether you're working in the home or outside the home, it's just a whole different mindset that you have to get in. And you just go, go, go. If you don't stop to think about it. 'Cause if you stop to think, you're lost. You have to just go.
100%.
And I just remember like at the end of every day, just crawling into bed and just going like, I am so exhausted. So I don't know how people who are like in their 40s and have little kids.
I don't either.
Because I was young. I was young when I had my
too.
kids.
Yeah, because that's what I was gonna tap into. I was young. I was started out at 20.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so
You were really young.
really young, and they're like, I was like a little ashamed, like, oh, I didn't accomplish everything before I had kids, right?
Whatever.
Well,
That's
yeah,
not a thing anymore.
It's not. I mean, now that I look at it
Yeah.
at 41, I'm like, holy shit,
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine having a 6-year-old
Little ones,
or because my son is about to be 21 and my daughter's about to be 16.
Yeah.
And I mean, they are running their whole lives right.
You're like, this is like prime time for you. This is what I want women to understand, especially like the younger women who are, trying to do it all and they've got their young kids. And you don't really hit your stride until your mid 40s.
Yeah.
I think. And for me, I was a little bit more of a late bloomer. I didn't really hit my stride as far as like my confidence and just knowing who I am as a woman and what I want out of life. I'm 56. I didn't hit it till in my 50s.
Damn,
Really?
look at you.
Oh.
No, but
Glotrition.
yes, Glotrition. I love Glotrition.
You see, I had to start a nutraceutical company just to like keep the wheels on the bus. That's what I always say. But I feel like if I could tell the younger me anything, it would just be like, calm down.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay. You don't have to do everything. You have plenty of time. I look back and I feel like I was always like living my life like it was a race. Like I have to go, 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 go because, why?
Yes.
Because like you got a lot of time, but you don't have to. So yeah, I just think it's hard though you're in a different mode. I'm in a different mode now. I mean, being able to start my company, everything, I didn't do all this until my boys were well out of the nest and, on to their own adult lives. So I don't know how people start businesses when their kids are little. I have so much respect.
But you're 100% right. But I mean, you just do it. You handle it, and what comes, it's one step at a time. And like you said, it's your husband at the time. Y'all were a great team. That's where I'm at. I have great support. I'm divorced, and so my kid's stepdad, like he is everything. I mean, even in our office, he supports everything that we do. And if it wasn't for that, it would look a little different.
Yeah.
I think we'd get it done.
Yeah.
But that support is so helpful in certain things. That make it where you're able to.
It makes a difference. But I also think like even if you don't have the help, well, first of all, and I think as women, we're not always as comfortable asking for help because we have this thing in our head that like, no, I have to do it. Like we always think we have to be like, the best mom, the best friend, the best wife, the best girlfriend, the best, like whatever. It's just so much. And I think what happens is you put all those things on yourself. So you have to wear all these different hats and you're this much to this many people. Something gives. Like, I think that's what I would tell the young girls is like, if you don't figure out how to calm down with all that, something's going to break. And for me, it was my marriage. Because you can't go with your career and being in news. And I always had like just a messed up schedule. Like I was doing morning shows, having to be at work at 3 a.m. And it was hard. And then making sure that the boys are all 2 years apart. So, they were all just, it was a lot.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, there wasn't a lot of time for my husband.
Yes.
There wasn't. And, it is what it is. But something breaks if you don't figure out how to just calm down the expectations of everything,
I think I think that's where I love this conversation because I feel like the expectations are also what drives us too.
Yes.
And so it's like
Expectations that we put on
on
ourselves.
ourselves. And it's hard, right? So it's kind of, trying to live in the season. And I think that's what I'm learning too, that there are seasons.
Yeah.
And I look at, there's women I looked at, I mean, just like you, which I love social media for this, is, no matter age, you said your age, my age, and then there's girls younger. Like I can pull and learn from each one. That's why I love social media. But it's also, I'm not in the season of friendships. I don't have a lot. Like I have friends. I know I could call them up, but I know that I have best friends. But spending time with them right now in my season of life, it's not happening.
This is what I'm saying. Like something has to give.
Yes.
Always. And so, for you, it's friendships because you just don't get as much time to spend with them. And for someone else, it could be a marriage. It could be, they don't get to connect with their parents as much or their family as much. Or they don't spend as much time doing that because there's only so much time in the day.
Yes.
And we have all these big goals and all these ideas of how we want our lives to be. And we're just like, go, 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 go all the time.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm learning, especially now, as like I look at my life and my age, and like we never feel our age. Like I still feel like I'm, 30 years old.
Yes.
But you realize when you're on the back half of it, that I've lived more life than I have still to live. And that in my head fucks me up.
But it doesn't. I mean, you know what I mean? But each day is different, right? Like it fucks me up too. And then one day I'm like, okay, I cherish this so much more than I used to.
Yes.
But my best friend and I literally were on the phone laughing. And I said, we were talking about her grandmother because we're in this age, right? Where we're in the sandwich age. We're taking care of our kids. We're taking care of our parents and our grandparents. And so I was like, well, how old were the nurses? And she was like, I mean, I think they were in their 30s or 40s. And then she goes, fuck, we're in our 40s. And I'm like, oh shit, we are.
I know.
Because we were trying to establish how old they were, if they were knowledgeable enough to take care of the people that were in the hospital because of the health industry and all this. And she was like, fuck, I'm 40. We're 41. Like,
yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, we are.
And then when you start thinking about how much of my life do I have yet to live? How many more Christmases do I have? How many more, and how, especially like, because my parents are obviously they're older too, they're 81 and 83.
Which is a beautiful blessing. That's,
I'm so blessed to have them. But how many more years do we have? And how many more? And so you start to get really sentimental about things, and it does help you to just slow down and start appreciating, even the challenges. Like there are so many challenges with Glotrition. I mean, every day it seems like I'm hit with something new that, that I didn't understand before because I'm not a business person. Like,
okay, yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were in broadcasting.
Yeah.
What came inside of you were like, I'm going to start Glotrition? Because you say 11 years now?
Yeah. So it was pure vanity. Like, just get that out there.
But that's where the best things start. Like, well, y'all aren't doing this good enough, so I'm going to do it.
No, that's exactly what happened. So I was, when I was working in news, I did a lot of health stories. I was also a medical correspondent, just because like I like that. I'm kind of a science geek, and I've always been interested. Like if I would have had the fortitude to do it, I would have gone to medical school. I would have never gotten in, but I would have wanted to.
Obviously, you would have been very smart.
I don't know. But the stick with itness that you have to do something like graduate from medical school, I don't know. I get really like, I'm like squirrel, like, you know what I mean? So I was covering a lot of health stories and interviewing a lot of doctors, a lot of researchers. The University of Utah, they were doing amazing research at that hospital, or at that university and the hospital related to it. So I learned a lot just about health and longevity and anti-aging. And there were some researchers, and they were doing some really cool research about supplements and skin and how it can help your skin.
And I'm like currently trying to put my face down because I know my skin is not as great as yours. But go ahead.
Stop.
I need so much stuff done.
Well, listen, so much of it happens from the inside. And that was my big takeaway was, and especially like in TV, because there's all the lights and the heavy makeup and where, you're just like, oh, wow, I look 10 years older than I should look.
Uh-huh.
And I was starting to see that happening. And I was probably only, I was maybe like 38, I would say, when I started working with them. And anyway, so the researchers that I was, they were like, here, take these. Like they wrote down like a regimen for me.
Okay.
Do this regimen. But it was 15 pills every single day, huge pills. And I would like, nobody can stick with that. But when I did it and followed it for like 60 days, 90 days, my skin was like, you could tell a difference. And people were like calling the station going, did she get some work done? Or like, are you using different makeup? Or are you like, they wanted to know what I was doing. And that's the only thing that was different. So I knew it worked, but there was just no way that I was going to stick with it. So fast forward, I moved to Dallas to work for CBS. I did the morning show here. And, through that experience, and then did a morning show, talk show here, and ended up meeting a nutritional chemist. And he was so interesting. And I was telling him my idea about like, this is like, I'd love to get all my vitamins in just an easy way to take it. And I was at lunch with a girlfriend, and we tell the story now, and it just is always so funny. And she pulled out a Crystal Light packet and added it to our water.
Yes.
And it was like, boom, like light bulb. I was like, oh, if I could get all of my stuff that I take in something like that makes it taste good, that would be amazing. And keep in mind, this was 11 years ago. So this is before there was no vital proteins. There was no,
like collagen powder wasn't that.
It wasn't a thing.
Often as it is now.
No one understood the benefits of taking collagen, and nobody understood that there was a specific type of collagen that you needed to take to make a difference in your skin. I mean, the science on it is so interesting. But at the time, it was like a baby industry. Like nobody really knew. And the whole beauty from the inside out thing was very new too. So, but anyway, I was telling him my idea. So that's how it started. And we did the first iteration of Glotrition. It wasn't called the Super Beauty Elixir then. It was called, oh my God, what was it called? I can't even remember. It was like collagen. Anyway. Oh, that's so sad that I can't even remember. That was the first iteration of it. But here's what I do remember about it. We got the samples back from the lab. Like we had this chemist put together a whole thing. Got the samples back from the lab, and I had it in my water. And it was the 4th of July, and we were here in Texas, and they were doing that parade in Highland Park. And I was still doing television, and so they had me up on the stage, like hosting the parade. So it was like 100 degrees outside, or it was horrible. And I was like sweating in the sun, and I had my little thing of my Glotrition. I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so proud of myself. And I picked it up, and I took the lid off, and I went to go take a sip, and it smelled like rotten eggs.
Oh no, like so the heat had
the UV light messed with it in some way because of some of the ingredients. So it's just, and we had to go back to the drawing board so many times. So I will say that to anyone who is, who you've got an idea and you want to do something, and just be patient with yourself and be patient with the process, because it is a process. And so I lost, I don't know, we didn't do a big run. I think it was like 1,000 units that we had to trash and go back to the drawing board. But it's funny to think of all the iterations that everything went through. So that was the first product that is now the Super Beauty Elixir, and now still our top seller, still our flagship product.
That's so awesome. And you never gave up. Like that didn't, but isn't it's those little business owners or the product.
That's because I'm just stubborn,
But I think that's what's so important is you're stubborn. That's the fortitude. You can see certain things. Anybody that has a product or a certain amount of success, they don't give up.
Yeah.
No is not the answer. It's where is the solution? Where is the next step?
I always say that. I always say like no does not mean no. It means no, not right now, or no, not this way.
Yes.
And so you just
100%.
Or you find a different way. But I think resilience is the number one, like fortitude and resilience.
Yes.
You can't let it crumble you. And listen, I cried big crocodile tears over that. I was very upset. The next time that I cried, and I can remember them because I don't do it very often, mostly just because, like, what am I crying over in business? I have a thriving company. Like, there's nothing to cry over, but the frustration can get to you, and the disappointment can get to you.
Yes.
So we had Glotrition for, I guess I was like, I don't know, 7 years in, maybe 6 or 7 years in, and we got the opportunity to sell on QVC in London.
Oh, in London.
In London.
So
That was our first QVC, yeah.
okay, that was your first QVC, and then you did America. Like, okay,
But London was the biggest. It was the biggest flop you've ever seen.
Was
And that was the second time I cried. Yeah.
and what do you? And, okay, but you learned from it.
I mean, I did
So
learn from
it was
it.
a flop in regards of the goal that you wanted to hit, the outcome of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we sold like 20 boxes. Like, fast forward, then we go on QVC US and sell like 3,000. Yeah. So but it was a big disappointment. And here's what I learned. And this is what you learn in business when you leave it up to somebody else to figure out how to talk about your product, where to place your product, what to do about your product, the messaging, the way it looks, the packaging, the branding, if you leave any of that up to somebody else, you are signing a permission slip for failure.
Yes, 100% agree.
100%. And you have to have the backbone to stand up for yourself. And I did not. So I was just like, oh my gosh, we're going to be on QVC.
Because you're grateful, you're kind,
and a little naive.
Yeah.
Oh, and so when they put me on, it was like a Monday morning at like 10 a.m. and we were in between like women's elastic waist pants and like the workout mat or something. It was like so random. And then they just threw this product in without it. Anyway, had I had it to do over, and I did get a do-over for QVC US. And that was a much different experience because then I was able to say, what show are we going to be in? What time of day are we on? Who is the host? What show is it? Like, and so I realized like we needed to be in the beauty shows.
yes,
You know, so it's just like you learn things like that as you go, and there's no roadmap for it.
I always say respect the sting.
Yeah.
Because there are stings. You're going to have something every single day.
Oh, you get punched in the face
every single day. Yep. And then learn from it, grow from it, and then react to it with a solution-oriented, mind.
Yeah.
And you said something, oh my gosh, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. It's, oh, what did you say? Because I was loving everything.
I don't know. What was it?
So good. But you're exactly right. I want to talk about QVC America because was that, how many times have you gone? Was that during COVID? Because I remember.
That was before and during COVID.
Okay. So COVID, and this is just the crazy, it was your voice. You were talking about your voice. Obviously, I work in marketing, own a marketing firm, all the things. Clients think that they can set it and forget it with a marketing firm.
Mm-mm.
No, like and this was the best critique. I mean, I was literally talking about this. The client was like, I felt like I lost my voice. And I'm like, but we were calling you to get your voice.
Yeah.
And, wonderful person. This isn't me like just bagging on her by any means, but you cannot set it and forget it. Your marketing.
No. And that is such a good point to bring up because that's been like, so for Glotrition, we don't have a huge in-house team. So I do rely on different vendors, for things. And listen, you get in this mindset of like, if I'm paying $5,000 a month for something, then I want to know that they got it. Like, I don't want to have to manage it.
Right.
You always have to manage everything. Like, you just have to manage everything.
Because it's not to say that and that's what I try to explain because I don't want to be like, I don't want to demean my company by any means, but we will never be your voice.
No, and you'll never understand it just as I understand it. Just this morning, before you guys got here, I was on the phone with our Amazon vendor. So we have a vendor who runs our Amazon page and our Amazon presence, a new one. Actually, we just onboarded a new vendor, and I love them. But it's important that you have to be involved and you have to step through everything with them. And here's the other thing, as an entrepreneur, you better know every piece of your business and how to do everything in your company.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know how to do everything.
Yes.
In order to manage the people who are tasked with doing that. So if everyone quit today and tomorrow I had to run the whole thing on my own, I can build a website. I can code the back end of a website. Crazy.
Get it.
I can do enough graphic design on Canva or something to get myself through. You learn so much. There's so many hats that you have to wear.
Yes.
But
100%. I just love that you said that your voice. And I think that people often think of like success or millionaires, billionaires, or not even that high. They're like, oh, I wish I had what they have. Do you really think, I mean, look at people like Mark Cuban. I mean, any of these, Zuckerberg, look at everybody. They're not working.
That's so funny that
do you
you
get
say
what I'm
that.
saying? They're
That's so
not
funny that you say
working.
that.
They're always working.
Yeah.
And they're making sure that anything that they have failures every day.
Yes.
We could literally pinpoint like, oh, well, did you see what it said about Amazon today about so and so? Jeff Bezos. Yes, but he's still not working. He's still trying to make it better.
And I will guarantee you that he knows every piece of his business. At least from a high level, he knows it. He might not be able to get down into the weeds with every single part of that business.
Even though I'd like to see him ship something. That would be interesting.
Let me e-box that.
No.
I'll bet he knows how.
I bet he does.
Yeah.
And then he'd probably say, I'd prefer y'all to put the paper this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it may go 10 seconds faster.
Like that movie. What was that movie with Anne Hathaway where she has the what's that called? The Intern.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's when you said your voice, my marketing mind was like, yes, because people think, and this is what's going on, like that other people can run their social media or because there's so much content that has to be pushed out now.
But here's
your
the other
voice
thing.
Is so important.
Here's the other thing too about that though, and that you just said social media, and that reminded me is that, because I have people who run that now, and it's almost overwhelming to have to keep tabs on everything. And I can tell when I've stepped back from something. I can tell.
Yes.
And then I have to go, oh, okay, hang on. Let's reel that back in.
Yes.
Let's set intentions. Let's set a calendar. Let's figure this out. Let's get it back on track for the brand voice.
Yes.
And all that.
And I think that's key in in any brand, large or small. It's kind of bringing it back. There's a few brands we know in the last few years that made choices and it blew up into the thing, whether you agreed or not agreed, that you just have to bring it back. And there's great companies out there that help get your message out, but it's so important. You can't set it and forget it, especially in these times. And then you were also talking about, oh my gosh, is this my age? Like, do I need to eat more blueberries?
Probably.
I can't remember.
I've probably given the age problem to you. But the other thing I want to say about that, when you are choosing people to work with and you're choosing vendors to work with, a marketing firm or an Amazon management firm or anything, it's really important that you vibe with them. Because I have hired vendors before based on all their glowing attributes and a lot of times, especially in the more technical spaces, it's men. And for my brand personally, nothing against the guys, it's a little more difficult for men to understand the nuances because my customer is a female. For the most part. And yes, we have a lot of guys that use our products, but for the most part, we speak to a female customer. And so it's a little difficult. And the look and the branding and everything is just so specific. I'm so blessed now because
I would say everything looks so great.
Thank
I'm
you.
loving it.
The guys on our marketing team, like they freaking get it. And it's the cutest thing ever.
I love it.
They're needing to understand, like this new product that we launched, the mood gummies. We talk a lot about hormonal health and menopause and PMS, and they're just having to like dig in and understand it. And they're doing it though. And I'm always just so impressed that they, because they're relatively new with us, it was April. And so they've only been on since April and they're just like killing it. So
I love it. And that's where I was. HSN or not. QVC. Oh my
same
gosh.
thing now.
Yeah. Okay. I think that anyone that owns a business or I love going on there and just listening. Listening. If you are wanting to help with like speaking or someone wants to sell a product or someone is a brand or someone's an influencer or anybody that is in that needs to watch HSN and QVC because you can like just with you when you went on there and I was watching during COVID because I love our industry. and I was so excited for you because you were setting everything up.
I
And
remember that.
just the way that you explain your product and you educate and you're a resource. And I think if anyone wants to understand how to connect with their audience, is to be so educated and to do something like that.
And you only get 6 minutes. So this is what they don't tell you about QVC. And so I thought, oh, QVC, easy peasy. I've been doing TV my whole life. I got this. I know my brand. I know TV. And they're like, no, ma'am. They made me go through, you have to go through a training class before they'll let you on air. And I was just like, this is so dumb. Why do I have to do this? When I did my first airing in the US, the UK didn't require that. Like maybe they should have, and it would have gone better. But in the US, they required it. And so, my first airing, it went by like that. I was like, oh, I got this. I did a talk show. I've got personality. I'm going to like yuck it up with the host. And the hosts are amazing because they're like, no, ma'am, let's get to the point.
Yeah.
Sell, 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 sell.
Yes.
And so it's amazing that your 6-minute time window, you can't waste it on pleasantries.
Yes. No.
It can be like, oh my gosh, girl, so good to see you. Merry Christmas. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about. You get right into it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so after my first airing, I knew from that point forward, I was like, oh, I get it. Okay, so I'm here to sell.
Yes. Yes.
Very different than just being there to talk about your product.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's so good. And I love it. I watch so many. I mean, I used to make fun of people that watch it. And then I'm brought into it. And my daughter's like, are you going to buy anything? Or are you just watching it? I'm like, I just love it. And then I just see so many people that I don't want to be like, oh, I see so many people I know. But I know what it took to get there.
Yeah.
I know the work, like you said, you had to go through training, the investment it takes to have product available.
And especially like in the beauty division or supplements for me, the QA that you have to go through and getting claims approved and everything, that was a beating. That was an absolute beating. But you figure it out. And then they make you get on a legal call where the attorneys scare the shit out of you and say, here are the things that you are not allowed to say. Do not say this word.
Shit.
And I was like,
I'm going to be the first one to be like,
I know. And they put it in your head. So then when you're live on the air, you're like, trying to find words to say. I got really good at dancing around claims.
Yes.
Not making any direct claims.
Yes.
So I wouldn't get in trouble, but still getting the general gist of what the product was going to do for you because they really don't allow you to say anything.
Yeah.
I can't say anything about collagen. I could say a few things about what collagen is known to do, but I couldn't speak directly to my product. Like, here's what our clinical studies say.
Okay.
I couldn't. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's it's kind of a crazy world. But
so tell me what's new. What's going on or anything that we can talk about?
Well, we have our gummy-ceuticals. So the Super Beauty Elixir, I knew that we needed to grow from there. And we trial and error always. We tried the liquid drops for a while. This shelf stability was crap on them. So we got rid of them and replaced them with gummies. And the gummies are so popular. And so Mood is the newest one that we launched. And just for emotional balance and serotonin uptake.
Oh, I love that.
Oh my gosh. Have you read about saffron?
No. I need to read
Oh
about
my gosh. Google saffron benefits.
Okay.
And it will just all about just emotional balance. And they put saffron, a high quality saffron, up against Prozac in clinical studies.
Yeah.
And it had the exact same effect on emotional balance and mood regulation.
I'm 2 cart now.
No, I'm serious.
I'm literally going to go and
seriously. And so when I was researching and then learning about saffron, it's an active molecule in saffron called saffronol. That's what helps increase the serotonin uptake. And so the patented ingredient that we use in the mood gummies is called Saffrinside, and it is a patented form of saffron that has the highest concentration of saffronol.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
adding to cart.
No, I'll give you some free.
Like 2025, everybody's be like, look at her.
I know. And then what else is new? Hair RX.
Okay.
The hair gummies.
Okay, that I will say, we're talking about seasons and kids and all this. The hair loss at 41 is real.
Yeah. Yeah, and it only gets worse.
It is.
It's all hormonal.
It is real.
Yeah. And so like as you get older, your hair grows in different phases. The anagen phase is your hair growth phase.
Okay.
And that anagen phase shrinks as we get older. So what this product does is extends that anagen phase.
Okay.
Among other things, but that's one of the big things that it does. It extends that growth phase. So your hair has more time to grow.
Okay.
It's very cool. That's
I
why I
love
told you I'm a science geek. So
I love it. I know. I'm like, wow, she's so smart. I know.
I love the research though, and that's why some of the nuances of business have been difficult for me to try to put that cap on because it's not as fun for me. Like if you put a spreadsheet in front of me, I literally want to throw up.
See, and I like spreadsheets.
Yeah.
See, I'm weird. Like I like
I have to like, I have
right.
to
We have to know it
now.
Yes.
No, it freaks me out because I was a TV person. I wasn't a business person. And so that's what's been so interesting about.
How do you gather, like, do you talk to friends about it? How do you maneuver that? Because I had a conversation with a friend and I was like, oh, as business, I wish this would have went this way.
Yeah.
And my friend was like, you're in an industry where people go viral and they have no idea what to do with this.
Yeah.
Like you have to understand, they don't know, they never thought that they were going to run a business. So you have to get out of that mindset. So kind of
They're two different hats,
Right.
because I've got like the face of the brand and creating content for the brand and going on QVC and do, that. And I like that because that's comfortable for me.
Yes.
But then there's the other big job, which is running the company and making decisions for the company. And so much of it is just from my gut.
Uh-huh.
And I think anybody with an MBA would go, wait, what? What do you mean? Your gut? Yeah, it's my gut telling me that like, this is a direction we should go. This is how we should do it. And then just like trial and error.
Yeah.
You learn from your mistakes.
100%.
Hopefully. There are a few mistakes I've made a couple times. I'm like, God, Lisa.
No. Yeah, but those serve purpose.
Yeah.
It serves purpose.
And then Google. I Google a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts. A lot of business
What podcasts do you listen to?
There's one right now that I'm listening to. It is called, I'm going to forget the name of it, but it specifically relates to direct-to-consumer online businesses.
Okay.
And it's super helpful. And it's such a cool niche because now they just interview people who've had these like, brands that have exploded, these direct-to-consumer brands. I'm going to look it up before you leave and share.
I was going to say, there's a segment in our show that is, I call it 3 for me or 3 from me. And so it's like 3 linkable, tangible things that I can give to our listeners.
Okay.
Because I love listening to podcasts and watching shows. Because another reason I started this podcast is I'm like, okay, I know, but tell me what to do. Like, put me in, coach, but tell me what to do.
I know.
And so I want to share 3 things. So if a podcast is one, I want them to be able to hear that.
Yes.
And then of course, Glotrition, we're going to share that.
Yeah.
And then what's something else that you feel that you would want to share that they can click on and it can even be like a recipe or because I know you share, like you said, it's from the inside out. So if there's anything like that you would share with somebody.
I'm going to think on that.
Yeah.
I'm going to get you
And
something
we'll add
good.
it.
I'm thinking about like, because I'm like you, I listen to podcasts and I'm like, okay, get to the meat of it. But how did you get to 100,000 subscribers? Like, how did you do it? Like, what's the secret sauce? How much did you spend on marketing?
And you know what they say? Like, it aggravates me. So you made a product because you wanted to make it. They'll say, be consistent. We know. We know we have to be consistent. Right. I'm like, I was so tired of hearing it. So I'm like, get this app, use this design, have this. Yes. Because you're never going to take me away.
No, I will tell you this. Learn Canva.
Yes.
If you don't know Photoshop, don't try to learn it. Learn Canva. I have saved so much money because it's very expensive. Graphics, graphic design, packaging design, all of that. I've done all of it.
Yes.
So I would say learn Canva. I would say for a direct-to-consumer business, obviously you need to know Shopify. You should be on the Shopify platform. If you're not, then you need to switch to Shopify. Learn it. Gosh.
And take care of
So
your
many
health.
different dashboards I've learned.
Yeah.
You know?
I think health is what I'm working on this year. I've worked out in the past few weeks than I ever had in my whole life. And then speaking with you and learning these things.
I mean,
how do you integrate that in a busy schedule? And how does business, so that's what I'm seeking the truth to.
Mm.
If you're on a drive to grow a business,
Mhm.
you know, we talk about seasons. How do we put our health first?
You just do it. You just have to do it. And you have to learn how to integrate those things into your life. Like wake up in the morning, and I just bought, so every year, either for my birthday or for Christmas, I'll try to buy myself something like a little nice. And so this year I bought myself a red light.
Okay.
Like it's like a big one that you sit in front of. Like I sit like this and get the red light.
Okay.
And so I try to do that in the morning.
The year before you bought a Peloton. Remember?
Yeah,
I remember
it was that Soul Cycle bike.
Okay, yes.
A couple years ago.
Yes.
That I never use.
But you're taking sets.
Yeah.
I'm one of those that pay for the gym membership that don't go.
Oh my God, mine just expired. Thank God. It was like $250 a month.
No, it's like,
And I never used it.
I'm trying to let mine
So,
expire.
at home workouts, Stay Fit Brit. Do you follow her?
I don't know if
Brittany Everett.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. She is precious, and her workouts will kick your ass, and you can do them from home.
Okay.
And I think it's like $40 a month.
Oh,
and
like subscribe
to subscribe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so much better. So I like doing something like that because I can do it on my own time frame. I don't have to, I can like work out in my pajamas.
Yes.
That I like wake up in the morning, have my coffee, work out in my pajamas, sit in front of my red light, and then start my day, I don't know. I like easy things. And then it's just a general, what you're eating and what you're consuming. And, there's just all those.
You're just like, Audrey, do better.
I do organic. I will say that.
Okay.
That you do yourself no favors if you are eating traditionally farmed fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
The glyphosate that they
spray, yes.
It is outrageous that that's allowed in our country, but it is. And the problem is that even with a lot of organic fruits and vegetables, if they're grown next to a commercial crop and the commercial crop is spraying, so now I'm like a psycho. I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy these tomatoes because they were grown in a greenhouse with no pesticides.
But no pesticides on it.
No pesticides.
But that's why you're fabulous and healthy. And
I don't know.
That's why
I'm a little psychotic. But I do think that there is.
We all have a hint of
something to it. It's important. The quality of the food that you put into your body is important. And I, for one, and this is not about politics at all, but I am very excited to see what RFK Jr. can do for our food supply. Like him or not like him, think he's a kook, think he's amazing, like I don't care. I think having someone who has eyes on that, who can hopefully make some changes for our kids.
Yes, I was going to say,
it's a big
changes is a big deal. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The change, like a change, and if there's something, like stewing to happen,
a positive change.
Yes, 100% agree.
Stop poisoning our kids. Stop poisoning me.
Well,
stop ruining my metabolic health and making me fat and unhappy
100%.
and angry and
I don't understand what, I don't understand. I know everybody.
It all comes back to your food. It all tied back to your food and your eating habits, and it just is.
That country girl raised a cleaner plate, mashed potatoes. I'm like, how do we get out of this?
Listen, there's nothing wrong with mashed potatoes, but are you using like grass-fed butter in those mashed potatoes? Are you using like organic grass-fed?
I'll have to ask my husband. See, I'm like, why do I have this list?
Yeah.
So what else is on the horizon? We talked about you did take a step out. You bought a company and sold a company.
I did. And let me tell you, that is one thing. I'm glad you brought that up because that's one thing that I do want to say. So I bought a med spa, and I bought it thinking that it would be an additional revenue stream. And I bought it because I felt like it kind of went with Glotrition, like it lived in the same space, in the same world. And I thought it would just kind of be mailbox money and I wouldn't have to. That was the biggest joke I ever told myself. It was, don't ever buy a business that you think is going to be just hands off.
Yes.
That was stupid. Like, I don't know why I did
Well, because I think we know that when we were talking about like set it and forget it and your voice and all of that, nobody works like we work.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes us a little bit different. I mean, there are days I'm like, oh, I just want to go work for someone. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done trying to be whatever. Sure. There are days that I'm like that, but I'm very proud of we are different. And I want to find what that is. But I think how we want to run things, it needs hands-on.
Yeah.
Because date.
Well, and I think that my problem was Glotrition, after 11 years, I mean, it was starting to feel stagnant, and well, I mean, there's like a bigger conversation about, investors and things and, the right time to raise money. And there's a window. And if you miss that window, it's not good. And you got to wait for another window. And so there was a lot of that happening. And I thought, well, I should have another revenue stream. I should have a backup plan.
Yes.
And in theory, there's nothing wrong with that, with thinking you should have a backup plan. But in actuality, it's basically what you're doing is you are making a plan to take your focus from your main thing and put it on something else. And so that was a big learning moment for me. And anyway, I ended up selling the spa the year later because I was like, this is.
Well, we hear too, it's like, oh, you want multiple revenue streams. And I think I agree with you. I thought that was so amazing and it aligned, but you're right. I mean, I think that's such great advice of like, it's okay to have one thing and be really great at it.
I think that if my role had changed with Glotrition, if we had hired a CEO and my role was just in product development, or just, being the face of the brand, then maybe I could have been able to do that and do that well. But when you're wearing all the hats and you're doing all the things and the buck stops with you. Anyway, it was a very interesting and expensive lesson to learn. So don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
But I love that you are so positive about it and lesson learned. I think it's one of those things. It's like, if we could go back, right?
Yeah. But I'll tell you, it did teach me some things, and it did harden me a little bit and make me a little bit better of a CEO for my main baby, which is Glotrition. It made me better at that job. Just going through that made me better. So, there's that, and there's always something you can take from it. But yeah, you just can't take your eye off the ball.
So for 2025, what does that look like for you? So for business, and then we'll talk about personal.
So for 2025 with the business, we are experiencing steady growth.
You were at LTK conference this year.
Yes.
How was that?
That was fun.
Wow.
How
You look
interesting.
so good.
Thank you.
Tell me about your thoughts on that.
That is such an interesting, it's such an interesting company that they built, that Amber has built. It's really, and Baxter is her husband.
And you had success at the conference, met a lot of people.
Well, they included Glotrition in their Discovery Suite, which I thought was so kind of them. We're still considered a relatively small brand, and so to be in there with some of the bigger brands like Nike and whoever else they had in there was kind of fun. But yeah, that whole world is very interesting, and I'll tell you, it's an interesting thing to understand too as a brand owner, brand founder, that you do have to dip your toe a little bit in that world, that influencer creator world a little bit, because all it does is help your brand. So, and this is interesting, and somebody will get something from this, but early on, I was only posting on my Instagram page about Glotrition, and I had very little growth and very little interaction, and we had the Glotrition brand page as well. When I started posting more about me and my life, and I love finding affordable fashion, and I started
I love everything. Yes.
It went like this. And what that did for Glotrition was the same thing. And so it was funny because my investors who had something to say about that, well, I don't understand why you're posting about this when you should be posting about Glotrition. I'm like, let me tell you
why. Yes.
This is why. When you grow yourself as a brand, it has an automatic ripple effect for your business. So that's been interesting. That's been in this last year I've really leaned into that.
It's trust marketing. It's resource. You're being a resource. And that's what we work with creators and influencers and brands, both sides. And I think that's where it's so important as a brand. And if you are working with creators, is to find those that are passionately educated about the product. Because we all can sell, right? But when I watch you and when I talk about it, because I watch you I know that you eat healthy. I know that you work out. I know that you're active. I know that you drink Glotrition, and I love your style. So to me, I'm looking at you as like, okay, how does she manage all of this? That's why I want to talk to you. And that's why the audiences are purchasing. And people want to invest their dollars into something that they can, kind of believe in. And
it's more of like a healthy aging lifestyle.
Yes.
Is what you'll find on my personal page, and Glotrition's such a big piece of that. But also so is healthy eating and education around things like glyphosate and obesogens and things like that, and being able to talk about that and knowing that, like, with your style, listen, you got to switch it up. Like, as you get older, you can't like get in a rut with your style. You can still be cute in your 50s.
Yes, I love that. And I will say I love social media for that, the education of, because I think I mentioned it earlier, I follow people younger than me, and I follow people older than me, same age. And so my thing is, it's like I'm learning about perimenopause. I'm learning about these things, which I think you're going in the era. I'm my hair loss. I'm getting all these things, but I'm learning, like, okay, I am normal. Okay, she takes this. When does she take this? Okay, she takes hers in the morning and then she's eating this. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Because you're my friend online that I'm like, okay. And then I'm pulling from this friend. And I definitely think there is healthy mental state when you're on social media. I think you have to have it, not want what other people have, but I think you need to have a mental state of be inspired by and be educated by.
And if it's something that triggers you and makes you unhappy and makes you start feeling those like jealous or whatever, you just unfollow. Don't do that. Social media should be a place for inspiration.
Yes.
It should be a place for ideas, for, like, I mean, how many people do you have in your Instagram that you're sending things to every time constantly, and sending so many things that I see that are.
Yes, I love it. And I think I'm mentally strong when it comes to social media because of my business. And if I see something that that possibly could bother me, I don't really know what has ever, I mean, maybe if like a friend told me they were going to come over and they didn't, and they actually went somewhere they didn't say, I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that there's some, mental strength that you have to have, on social media or what have you. But I just love the education of different ages that people can bring. Because even with younger fashion and, or younger health and all of that, it's great to see. But I agree. I think that that it's Glotrition is a lifestyle brand. You're a lifestyle that.
Thank you. It's turning into that. We were definitely like beauty wellness, and now we're branching out to be a little bit more about casting a wider net in the nutraceutical space is what we're doing. So, and Mood was the first one to do that. Mood is all about, perimenopause and hormonal health and menopause and emotional balance and all that. So you'll see more of that from us as a brand as we continue to just like cast that wider net, like I said, and address other healthy aging aspects.
I love it. I love it. And it's
fun.
And you have such strong women around you. So personal life, you said you were divorced.
Yes.
What do you do? Like, are you dating? Are you?
I'm not. I am not. And I have a specific reason why. And it took me a minute to figure it out. I am, okay, oh my gosh, how much more time do we have?
I was going to say, I love this. So we don't have to go into everything.
No. It's just, I think this is important. It's important because I think someone will hear this and it'll resonate with them. In my first marriage to Brian, the boy's dad, we were so young when we got married, and we did everything first together. Like, he got his first teaching job and I got my first TV job, and we had kids together. We bought our first house together, and it was this like real partnership. When we divorced and I was in other relationships after that, for whatever reason, they became much more controlling with money. And it wasn't like a financial partnership anymore. It was a little bit more like me leaning on them for financial help. And then as I started the business, as I started Glotrition, it was very much that. Like, I was with Scott at the time, and he was paying for things, and I was working the business. I mean, he owns a chunk of the business, but I think the reason I'm not is because I am so dead set on getting this thing over the finish line. And I'm not sure what that looks like. I don't know if that looks like a complete exit, like selling the company, or what that looks like. But wherever that finish line is, I'm gonna get there
Yes.
before I bring someone else into my life. Only because I don't ever want to be in that situation again where I backslide and become comfortable because someone else is taking care of me. I never ever want to do that again. It's such an important lesson for women to understand and to know, like, always be self-sufficient, always be able to take care of yourself. And even if you are with somebody who does very well, like, keep your independence that way. That was a big lesson for me because I lost mine and kind of crawled out of it, And so that's why that was a long answer.
No,
That's
I
really why,
love
because I'm
that.
like, I don't want to meet somebody who is I just don't want to be in a situation where I become comfortable and backslide again. I want to just stay focused on the business, and then it's always in those times, where I think I have a plan, and then, like, somebody comes in the
Comes
picture.
over. My son said that he was dating someone. He's like, this was not in my plan. I said, son,
Yeah.
relationships are never in the plan.
Yeah.
But like I was telling you before we got started, I think we were, in the 80s where it's like be an independent woman and do these things.
Yeah.
I think that there's also, I struggle with kind of being, too independent and,
Yeah.
to where I've heard like, you're just so independent. You had to let somebody help.
And did you know what's so interesting? So do you remember Think Then? Actually, it's still on the market, those little bars. It's just called Think now.
Okay.
Bars. But the woman who started Think Then she's so interesting. She's such a powerhouse. And she ended up she was a model, and she would make these homemade protein bars and take them to the shoots and share them with the models and everything. And everyone loved them. And she ended up starting this company and getting her bars into Trader Joe's. And then it was just to the moon from there. She was so fascinating. And it was such a pleasure to get to meet her and talk with her. And she ended up selling the company for $200 million. And change,
Yeah.
And the question I had for her was like, what now? Like, what do you do now? That's just like such a high peak to get to. And she said, I'm going to spend some time learning how to be a woman again. And I was like, and at the time I'm like, huh? I think back now and I'm like, oh, I get it.
That hits home.
It does, because you lose a little bit of femininity.
You do.
The stronger you become and the more independent you become, the more femininity can be lost.
I relate to that so much.
Yeah, and I relate to it now. When she said it, I was
You're like,
with
okay.
somebody who was, controlling me with money.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really get what she was talking about. I get it now. And she's right. There's some things, especially in business hardens you.
It does.
And it's
and
unfortunate, but
with being women too, it's we kind of lock in too when we have our kids. So we lock in. We were talking about kids. We lock in. We get it done. We have to be here. Just lock in, get it done. And then the same thing with business. Lock in, get it done.
Yeah.
And there's pieces of us that get a little bit strong.
Yeah.
Then that
We're
we're not
sharp.
really. Yeah, we
get
get a little sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that was
And
good.
it is good.
It's good.
And there's so many good things that come from that, but there is a piece of femininity that
Yeah.
that kind of dies in the process. So I try to preserve that as best I can, but it's hard. I went through this whole phase when I first started the business where I would send emails to like a manufacturer or someone, and I would do like smiley faces at the end of the emails because I'd be asking for something. And I'd try to be like strong and ask for it, but then I'd end it with a smiley face, like, don't be mad at me, like, please don't be mad at me, like, I'm nice, I'm just a girl, and I'm nice. And yeah, thank God I stopped doing that. But
I'm going to say one quick story, and I will not take any more of your time because this is so good. And I want to end
I love this.
on that quote. But I was at a season within my photography company, how we first met, you emailed me on a Saturday morning, or was it a Sunday morning? The first time that we had our communication.
Did I have a smiley face?
No, you did not have a smiley face, but I technically, I was in the stage of like, don't work on the weekend.
Oh, well, you're a girl too. So mostly the smiley faces were to the men, the me men.
Okay, yeah,
the me I'm sure
like,
that I hated
sweet.
dealing with. Yeah.
But you emailed me and it was like 6:30 a.m. or something. And I was like, I saw the email come across because, I'm not supposed to be working on the weekends because I'm supposed to balance and be available to my family and all the things.
I mean, all the time.
I knew I wanted to work with you because anyone that was willing to email me and thought of me at 6 a.m. on a weekend, I was like, I'm responding to this. I don't give a shit. Because you know what I mean? Like if somebody needed to email me, I was like, she's either on a plane. I don't know. I knew something was happening. You may have said that too, like, hi, I'm on the plane and or something. And you were trying to find out service information for photography. And I was like, oh, I'm replying to this on a Saturday because
I love
who would email me that early?
Yeah.
That's not meaning business. And so I thought that was so neat to me because I was flattered that you had reached out, and I love everybody that,
We've known each other a long time.
Yeah, we have.
It's a bit.
Yeah. And I am
I'm so proud of you with what you've done with your business too.
Well, it's listening to people like you and having the opportunity to see what you're looking for and the hard work that you put in. I mean,
you have filled such an interesting niche too for the creator world.
Yeah,
it's very cool what you're doing.
It's a lot of fun.
Well, it was so necessary. Like I know enough about that world. Some of my good friends are influencers, bigger influencers, and I know what goes into that business that they create. And listen, just when you see these girls on Instagram and they're like showing you a cute outfit and they're like, just understand that girl is probably a very savvy business owner.
They are.
They hustle. These girls hustle. When we were at the LTK conference, the one thing they said that blew my mind is she said something like, did she say 2,000 of the girls were LTK
millionaires?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the clients that we work with, I think that somebody made a passive, this gentleman made a passive joke of like, with his, very stressful job, he looked at me and we were at dinner and he looked at me and my guest and said, well, I'm just ready to quit my job and do what y'all do.
Good luck.
We both like,
yeah.
And you think this is,
yeah, just because it's pretty and looks nice doesn't mean blood, sweat, and tears don't go into it.
Yeah.
Truly. And like, I mean.
And it's the trust factor, what you bring. And like we were talking about your product. They're so beneficial in educating different people, different audiences, different ages, and creators that are doing it right, that are doing it right. I mean, everybody needs to make themselves.
Doing it right, though, you can tell. Like, and I'm going to say this about Courtney because I think she doesn't get enough credit for this.
I love her.
Yes, she runs a tight ship and she runs a good business. And that is a girl who never once has a man taken care of her, like as in paid for all her shit.
Yeah.
She pays her own way. She took that platform that she was given from a reality show or the opportunity that she jumped on, right? And she took that and she built on it. So many of the reality show people just don't do that, but she did because she's savvy and she's smart and she's a freaking hard worker. And it kills me because like now it kills me what people say sometimes because now she's with Kyle and they have like this beautiful life and Kyle does very well and people will wrongfully make the assumption that that he provides this great life for her. And it's like, oh, you don't know that she's such a boss and, and a millionaire in her own right. She'll probably kill me for saying that.
But she's going to, But, and the reason why I love her is she is very business. She is straightforward, knows what she wants, right? The kindest.
Yeah, she's
looks you straight in the eye, so kind to absolutely anyone that's in her presence because I'm not of her stature. I'm not, I'm building up to it. I love that I know you and got to meet her through you. but she treats everyone that that comes in her presence,
Yeah.
just so gracefully
And
and respectfully.
that's because she's been there, done that. She started from nothing. She worked her ass off.
Yes.
She's like a go-getter.
Yeah.
So I think she sees that in other people too and has a lot of respect for that.
Yes.
I won't speak for her anymore.
I know.
No, I just want to make that point because I think that it's so easy to look at the creator world and you see what these girls are doing. They're like, oh, you're taking a selfie and but
Their impact is
there is a
huge.
massive business behind that.
Yes, there is. There is.
Yeah.
Well, I can't
This
thank
is
you.
so fun.
I love that we got to dabble in real life. I think that's so important, is to see the grit, the real life, and then that we are people and that we're women, and then we own businesses that are successful and that they're doing big things, and how many people you're supporting while doing it.
Yeah.
I think it's badass that we make an income and are feeding out to other people. Like you were talking about your marketing team.
Yeah.
We give
Yeah.
to so many, and I think that's so neat
I
that
think
we
about that
created
sometimes
that.
too. I'm like, okay, this idea that started in my head with lunch with a girlfriend over a Crystal Light packet
Yeah.
and has turned into this size of a business that, can employ people and
We're so
makes me happy.
we're so ready to get to the next level and are like, have high expectations of ourselves. But then when we look back, it's like, damn.
Yeah,
Damn, look at us.
that's a good piece of advice though, is like you have to enjoy the little wins and you have to allow yourself to just sit and go, you know what? I'm
Kind of a badass.
kind of a badass. Yeah, you really do.
Yeah. And you are a badass.
hard.
Thank
It's
you
hard
so
to do.
much.
Thank you for being here.
Well, I
is fun.
always, I end the show like this, so you can just laugh at me because you're like the, TV personality.
Okay.
But I always say, capture, brand, and engage, and let's do big things.
I love that. Capture, brand, and engage, and let's do big things. Love it. That is so good.
Yeah. Thanks.
You probably not come up with that.
I did.
Of course you did.
I did. Maybe I was drunk.
Maybe. Some of my best shit happens when I've got.
Same. You give me a martini,
I know.
I'm gonna take care of it. Is that it's gluten free? Isn't vodka? Yeah.
Some vodka.
Not all.
Not all.
Alcohol.
If it's wheat vodka,
It's not. But I think I
It's not,
drink
right?
gluten free vodka.
do you drink Grey Goose?
Grey Goose, Surfside.
You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The fact that we know that is sign of true alcoholism.